Okay, Cam, so next is gonna be our fractions lesson part 2. So thanks for coming back, Cammy. I know you need help, and me being your godbrother cannot, I just can't stand you not doing well in math because I'm a math major, so you have to do well in math, and it's very important. Okay, let's get back into fractions. So just a recap. Last time on fractions. Remember, numerator, number on top. Denominator, number on bottom. We had words like LCD. That's the least common denominator. Denominator. Right? These are pretty much the ones that we used just to add and... Ooh, bad symbol. Add and subtract fractions. Right? This time, we need a different set of definitions. So some defs. Okay, so what are some defs that we need to know? We need to know reciprocal. Reciprocal. I hope I spelled that right. If I didn't, just Google it. It should come out. Reciprocal is basically the opposite fraction. I'm putting it in quotation marks because these are my words. So, example, if you had 1 over 2, the reciprocal of 1 over 2 is 2 over 1. So basically, switch the numerator and denominator. Alrighty, now we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing fractions. Alright, so multiplying and dividing fractions, what we need to do is know how to multiply and divide. So, do we know how to multiply? Yes. Multiply. Okay, so yes, we need to know how to multiply. So that means knowing your multiplication table and all of that. Do we know how to divide? Yes, we've been seeing that fractions are actually a way of division. So we should know this by now. Alrighty, so let's just get into it. So let's say 2/4, and I wanted to multiply this by 1/2. How do you multiply? That's a good question. Let's put that in green. How do you multiply fractions? Now, I'm going to give you 3 options. We have the LCD, which is the least common denominator. 2, we have LCM, which is the least common multiple. And 3, we have just do it. Our favorite Nike phrase. Just do it, Nike. So what do you think it is, Cam? LCD, LCM, or Nike? Funny thing is, Nike just wins this one. You just really multiply. So, if we're going to look at 2 over 4 times 1/2, we actually just multiply them across. So 2 times 1 all over 4 times 2. You'll see I did that in the last video without really explaining it. but that's just because, well, you needed to know it. Alrighty, so 2 times 1 is what? 2? 4 times 2 is 8. So guess what? Note. I'm going to put in big red letters. Guess what? Division works the same. You just divide across. But this is a kinda. We need to know a rule. So, let's say I had 3 over 2 times 2 over 1. This is just 3 times 2 over 2 times 1, which is just 6 over 2, which is 3. Alright, so we must know that multiplication is the inverse of division. And that way. So read it both ways. Multiplication is the inverse of division, and division is the inverse of multiplication. So we're going to need to know this to learn how to divide. So I'm going to do the same problem, just a little bit different. 3 over 2 divided by 1/2. So when we do this, we actually do this thing called, note, when dividing, we use keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. What does that mean? You're going to keep this, keep, change to multiplication, and flip this. Or in fancy terms, reciprocate. And remember what this reciprocal was. It's the opposite fraction. So we flip the denominator and the numerator. So we keep 3 over 2. We change division to multiplication. And we flip the second fraction. So that's going to be 2 over 1. Yes. Alrighty. Now, this looks just like the equation above. And we know this is just 3 times 2 over 2 times 1. That's just 6 over 2, which is 3. Wow. So, the question you're asking is why? Or WTF? Or this makes no sense, help me please. This makes no sense. Send help. Well, yeah. You're right. It does kind of not make sense. So let's make 2/3. Remember 2/3? 1, 2, 3? Okay, we said if we divided this in half, right? So let's do 2/3. So we had 2/3, kind of, yes. So we had a 2/3, right? That's gonna be these here. And if I divided this whole thing in half, no, if I divided by half, so when I say 3 over 2, excuse me. If I took 3 over 2, so that's going to be 2 squares. We have half, 3 over 2, so this is half, 1 half, 2 half, 3 half. Now, if I divided by half, so if I halved each one of these, I'd come up with 3. That doesn't make sense. We divide by 1/2. So really what I'm doing is actually giving you another set. Because if we divide by 1/2, that doesn't mean we half it. It means we're actually giving you 2 more sets. So 2 more sets of this, well, let's see. Or, well, 2 more sets as in we give you another set, will give us how many blocks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But we put these two together and you actually get 3 whole blocks. So it makes kind of sense. Kind of tough explanation. I'll work on it later. But this is how we're going to change division into multiplication. Okay, so I know that was crazy. Review. Alrighty? Review. Multiplication. In general, for any A over B times C over D, the result is A C over B D. So we just multiply across. Multiply across. Alright. For division, for any AB divided by CD, we do keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. Please remember this. Keep, change, flip. Such that we get keep the AB, change the division into multiplication, and flip the CD fraction so that we get D over C. And this gives us AD over BC. Alrighty. So now we know multiplication and division. Now we must talk about something called simplifying. Simplify means to bring down to its lowest terms. So simplify means bring down to lowest terms. And it's just something crazy like I have 10,024 over 2048. But that's really just 1/2. This is an exaggeration. This one is simple. And being a math major, math likes simple. Math likes simple. Alright, so what we do, let's say we had 3 over 9. So now, do Do 3 and 9 have any factor? So that's going to be a keyword, factor. So a number multiplied to another makes the original number. But what does that mean? So 12 can be expressed by 3 times 4. So 3 and 4 are factors of 12. Okay. So now we look at the factors of 3 and 9. What are our factors of 3? Well, just 3 and 1. It's called a prime number. That's something to look into later. We have 9. 9 is going to be 3 and 3. We know 3's are prime numbers, so this is our factors of 9. Alrighty, we see we have a similar factor. So what do we do with this similar factor? We divide the fraction on top and bottom by this factor. So this one might confuse you a bit because we actually just divide top and bottom. So 3 over 9, we're just going to divide the top by 3 and divide the bottom by 3. So we are not, emphasis on the nots, dividing by a fraction. So no keep, change, flip. Righty? So 3. Moving on, 3 divided by 3 is going to be what? 1. 9 divided by 3 is going to be what? 3. Okay, so our total is going to just be 1 over 3. And this is our answer. Alright, and this is a simplification. So, how do we solve problems? Well, first, identify the problem. Okay, so are we solving for x? Are we finding the solution? Right? What is it? What are we doing? 2. Identify the operation. So is it plus, minus, multiplication, or division? Question. 3. Choose the appropriate method, which I'll list here. Negative and plus is going to be LCD, LCM. Multiplication is going to be the Nike symbol. Just do it. And division, we use the keep, change, flip. And lastly, we always simplify. Alrighty? Always simplify until you can't. Okay, so let's work on some problems. So, x plus 3 over 14 is equal to 1 over 2. So this one is solved for x. Alrighty, first step is to identify. Well, we are solving for x, so that's done. 2 is to identify the operation. So we just have fractions here. But since we just have fractions, we are doing division or multiplication. We'll figure it out. Now, 3, what do we use? Now, here we need to do something special. We need to learn about cross multiplication. So remember how I said that we had that thing that we did and I wasn't going to explain it because we're going to do it later? Well, this is kind of the reason why. So we're going to break up the fraction. Oh my goodness. Since a fraction is division, what's the opposite? That's right, multiplication. So, if I have x plus 3 divided by 14, how do I get rid of the 14 on the bottom? I multiply by 14. So I have x plus 3 over 14 equals 1/2. And I'm going to multiply by 14 on this side. Now, anything you do on one side, you do to the other. Alrighty, this is an important phrase. What you do on one side, you do to the other. Okay, if I multiply 14 on one side to keep the equality, I multiply 14 on the other side. So, 14 divided by 14, you know, is 1. Now, 14 times 1 is 14 over 2. So, x plus 3 must be 14 over 2. Okay, we're doing good. 14 over 2 is going to be 7. So, x plus 3 is equal to 7. And then how do we solve for x? We just subtract by 3. We get x is equal to 4. Done. Does that make sense? Well, let's check. So, I'll check. We had x plus 3 over 14 is equal to 1 over 2. That's gonna, and then we said x is equal to 4, so 4 plus 3 over 14 is equal to 1/2, which is what? 7 over 14 is equal to 1/2. Now, 7 and 14, sorry, they both have a common factor of 7. So by dividing both sides by 7, or sorry, both top and bottom, get 1 over 2. Yes! We are correct. Now we celebrate. Okay, now let's do more problems. So 2 over 3 times 1/2 divided by 2/3 plus 1/2. So now we see we have different orders of operation. But to be very nice, we just do it all this way. Alrighty, so left to right. So this one first. 2 over 3 times 1/2 is 2 times 1 over 3 times 2. That's 2 over 6. Yes. Now, we got to do divided by 2/3 plus 1/2. Alrighty. So do this one next. So bring that over. So we have 2 over 6 divided by 2 over 3. Then we do keep, change, flip. That's going to be 2 over 6 change times flip 3 over 2. Then we multiply across. We just do it. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Now lastly, we bring down the plus 1/2. We have plus 1/2. Alrighty, so what do we do? 6 over 12 plus 1/2. We need to find the LCD. But we see that 2 and 12, let's see, 2 can become 12 if we multiply by 6. So 2 can become 12 if we multiply by 6. So 6 over 12 plus 1/2 times 6 over 6 is equal to 6 plus 1 times 6, 6 all over 12. What is 6 plus 6? 12 over 12. What is 12 over 12? Remember, what do we always do? We always simplify. 12 over 12 is actually just 1. That's our answer. 1. Crazy. So just remember, if you don't know, well, now you know. Thanks.